So we are starting 4 lines up from the bottom of Lamed Ches Amud Beis. So Gemara says, okay. So Gemara is again discussing still what bracha are you making when you have cooked vegetables. You make a hadam on it or a shahakal. So the Gemara is going to say what's actually probably a rather disturbing story, and then it's going to bring a proof from that again which bracha you're supposed to be making. So that's what we're continuing with. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yitzchak bar Shmuel, that the vegetables that a person uses to eat mar on Pesach, yotzi behen uvakalach shalahen, you're able to be yotzi yechiv with them, or also with their stalks. Avalo kavushin, velo shalukin, velo muvushalin. That's the key here. But you're not able to fulfill your chiyuv for marar. You're not able to do it if it was pickled or stewed or cooked. V'isaka, the Gemara asks, v'isaka da'itach b'musayukai. And if you say that when you cook a vegetable that it still stays in the original status that it has as a vegetable, shlukin amaylo. So what does it make a difference if you cook the marar? Why should you not be able to continue to use that to be yotzi your chiyuv to eat the marar? Why is it that you're not able to do that? So my answer says, really, it's not a problem. Really, cooking the vegetables, it still maintains a vegetable identity, and you would make a hadam on it. But the reason why you're not able to use cooked vegetables by the seder for that, shani hasam devinyan tam marar v'leka. The reason why you're not able to do it is because you need to have the taste of marar, and when you're cooking them, apparently you are taking out the taste of the marar. So even though it maintains a vegetable identity, that you make a bari pri hadam on it if it was not seder night, but it's not good enough that you should be able to use it if you are if you're eating it when to use it for the mitzvah of maror. Okay, now this is the Gemara. Now the Gemara is going to go into again. Well, first of all, question that Dan asked last night. Gemara asks it right now. So we said last night, we said the story over that they brought him this pit. They took out the pit. And then the question was about what bracha you're going to make on it. But you had asked, how is it that you're going to make a bracha afterwards if you don't have enough of a shear? Because it's kazayas, it's an olive. It's literally an olive. That is the shear, it's the kazayas. So if you had one olive, you took the pit out, you have less than an olive. So how is it that he was able to make a bracha afterwards? So Gemara says, Amalei Rav Yirmi le Rav Zera. Rabbi Yochanan, heichim yivarich al zayis meliyach. How is it that Rabbi Yochanan was able to make a bracha achrona on this olive when he was done eating it? Kirvan the shlika legarine. Once they took the pit out of it, we're turning now to Lamed Testament olive. Once they took the pit out of it, batzur leishira, you have less than a shear to make an ala 8. So everyone admits again that you would make a bracha beforehand because, as we said a few blot ago, that you are not allowed to eat anything in this world without making a bracha on it. But how is it that he was able to make a bracha afterwards? If he took the pit out of the olive, then you're going to have less than an olive's worth, and you don't make a bracha on something when it's less than a kazayas. So Amarle, so he said back, me as far as kazayas gadol b'inyan, do you think that in order to make a bracha achrona, you need to eat a large kazayas? Kazayas b'inyan being you only need to have a medium-sized olive. And you have that here. Vahuda aisu l'kaimid Rabbi Yochanan, the olive that they brought before Rabbi Yochanan, zayis gadol hava, it was a large olive. The afal gav the shakluha l'gronuse, even though they had taken the pit out of the olive, pashle shira, there was still enough of the amount that you needed to be able to make a bracha achrona. The Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, Zayish Amru, that the Mishnah, that the olive, the size that we said that we talked about that you need to make a bracha achrona, lo katum lo gadol. It's not talking about a small size olive or a large size olive. Elabainani, but it's the medium one. It sounds like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, like it's just right in the middle. That's what you need. V'zeu agure, and this is called an aguri olive. And the Gemara is going to explain now what this aguri olive is. So, but the bottom line is that the reason why he was making a bracha afterwards is because he had a very large olive, and when you took out the pit, you still had enough of a shear left that you'd be able to make a bracha achrona on it. Okay. V'amar Abavar Bavo says, Lo agure shemo, this olive that we were discussing, which stores its juices in it. Lo agure shemo, it's not called agure ela avrute shemo. Okay. V'amri la samruse shemo, and some say that it's called samruse, not avrute, and some say it's not called agure. Whatever that means. I'm not sure why the Gemara brings this down here. V'lam nirka shemo agure. So why does the Gemara? But why is this called? Why is this olive pit? Why is it called an agure? Shmano agur b'socha, because its oil is gathered. The word agure means to gather up. That its juices are gathered up in it, and that's why we call it an agure. Okay, so now again we still have the question: do you make a shahakal or do you make a hadama on cooked vegetables? So now the Gemara is going to say a very interesting story which has a sad ending. Okay, let's say it's a machlokas tanaim as to whether you make a shahakal or a hadama on cooked vegetables. Tahanu Trei Talmidei Tahav Yasu Kaimi Debar Kapara. There are these two students that are sitting before Kapara, and these two students are the ones that we're talking about, that they are that they're the Tanaim that we're referring to. They weren't just two students; they were actually Tanaim that were sitting before him. And Hevil Fanav Kruv Vidur Maskin Upargios. They brought before them cabbage. This tarmuskin, which is it's a I'm not sure what that is, and also pargio, which is the meat. So Nasan Bar Kapara, so Bar Kapara said to one of the Talmidim that they could go and make a bracha on the food, and they could pick whichever food they wanted to make the bracha. So Kafa Tzuverich ala pargio. So one of the students stood up and he made a shahakol on the pargiot. So right, he made it on the meat that was before him. That's what he made the bracha on. So the other student that was there, Ligleg Lav Chaveru, his friend started laughing at him that he did this, and he made a bracha, a shahakol, when instead he should really made the bracha on the cabbage, because the cabbage is a hadama, and the pargiot are a shahakol. So his fellow students started laughing at him that he did this, he made this faux pas, and he made the bracha of the shahakol first. So Bar Kapara got angry. Amar, and he said to the students, Lo mavarech ani kois. I'm not upset with the person who made the bracha on the pargiot. That's not the one I'm angry with. Elam magalgal ani kois. I'm angry on the person who was laughing at him. Im chavercha doma k'mishlo tam basam olam. Because he said to the one who was laughing, if your fellow student is like someone who's as if he never had eaten meat before, he never eaten this pargiot, so it's so dear to him, and the Gemara is going to be discussing now, which we will be discussing more at length later. Do you make a bracha if you have something that's chaviv to you, that's dear to you? Does that take precedence over other foods that you have in front of you? So Bar Kapara was saying to him, if your fellow student, it was so dear to him that he hadn't eaten this type of meat before, and he wanted to eat pargiot, so he makes a shahakol. So Ata Amad Gagdalav, what are you laughing at about him for? But then Bar Kapara said to the other student, Lo al magal hani koes. I'm not upset with the one that was laughing at you. That's not the one I'm upset with. El al mavarech hani koes. I'm angry with you, the one that was making the bracha. You who got up and made a shahakal on the pargiot. I'm upset with you. Why? Amar, and he said the reason why he's angry. Im chachma einkan zikna einkan. Even if you don't know that if you don't know what bracha to make first, if you know you're a Talmud, so you're sitting in front of your Rebbe, and they bring before you three different foods, some are hadama, some are shahakal. So if you don't know what to make a bracha on first, why don't you ask me? I'm your Rebbe, I'm sitting right here. You should be asking me what bracha do you make on it. So I'm upset with both. So he was upset with the one that laughed at him, because he said that there was a basis for him making the bracha, and he was upset with the one that made the bracha because he was saying that he should have asked which bracha to make first. Tana, and then this is a sad ending to the brisa. Ushneim lahotziu shnas, and both of them died within the year. So again, there must have been something else that was going on here, because it's hard to imagine that they died just because of this incident that happened. There must have been something else that was happening also. But anyway, the point is that we say. But so now we're going to get back to our Gemara now, talking about what bracha you make on cooked vegetables. So my lab hakam iflagi. It must be that this is what the two students were arguing about. The mevarich savar shlako supargio shahakal niyabidvaro. The one that was making the bracha held that cooked vegetables and pargiot are both the same bracha, because if you have a cooked vegetable, it's a shahakol, and if you have meat, it's a shahakol. So therefore he said, Hilka chavivavis, so he said to himself, you know what, I'm going to make the bracha on the thing that's dearer to me instead, and therefore I'm going to make a bracha on that. Umilaglek savar shlakos bari pri adama. He said that if you have cooked vegetables, you make a hadama, and pargiot shahakol niyabidvaro, and the meat was only a shahakol. Hilkach pera adif. Therefore, he should have made the bracha on the cabbage first instead of on the meat, which was dearer to him. So Gemara says, so therefore, but you see, it's machlokas tanaim that's taking place, whether you make a shahakol or whether you make hadama. And then the Gemara says, lo, the kuliyama shlakos upargios shachal niyabidvar. Everyone agrees that if you have this cooked vegetables, or if you have these pargiot, that they're both going to be that you make a shahakol. They argue with this. Mar savar chavivadif, that one of them, the one who made the bracha, held that you go by whatever is dearer to you, whichever one you desire more, so therefore you make a bracha on that. Mar savar kruv adif design, and the other one said no, that you make a bracha on the cabbage because it's zon. It's something that provides sustenance, so since it has more of a sustenance reasoning, therefore you would make a bracha on that one first. Okay. Amar Rav Zera, Ki Avinim Bei Rav Huna. When we were learning by Rav Huna, Amarlan, he said to us, Hani gar glidi delifta, you have these turnips. Parmenu prima rabba, if you cut them up into large pieces, bari priyadama, then you make a bari priyadama. And this is going back again on the Gemara that we learned a couple of nights ago, where we said that if you take a food and you crush it, and it still maintains some of its form, then it still maintains its bracha that you had originally. So if you take these turnips and you cut them up into relatively large slices, then you still make a hadam on them. Prima zuta, but if let's say you start slicing them and dicing them, shahakal niyabidvar, then you make a shahakal. V'chi'asan lebei Rav Yehuda, and then when we came to Rav Yehuda, Amarlan, he told us, Aidi v'aidi bari pri adam, you make a hadam on both of them. V'haidi parminhu tvei, and the reason why they slice and dice these turnips up even more than into even smaller pieces, ki heichi the nimtik tamei. The only reason why they're doing that is because it should taste even sweeter, because apparently by cutting them up even more, you're releasing more of the flavoring of the turnip, but regardless, it's still turnip flavor that you're tasting, and you would make a bari pri hadam on it. Okay, next Gemara. Rav Ashi, ki avinu bei Rav Kahana, when we were learning by Rav Kahana, Amarlan, he said to us, Tavshila, desalka, delo mafshu bei kimcha. If you have a beet dish, which they did not add flour to it, bari pri hadama, then just like any other vegetable, you make a bari pri hadama on it. The lifta, the mashru ba kimcha tfei, but if let's say you would add flour into these turnips, bari minei mizonos, and you make a bari minei mizonos. And then he took that back and he said, Aidi va'aidi bari pri adam, you make adam on both of them. V'hai deshadi bei kimcha tfei, the reason why they added in the flour, the dabuke ba'ama of dilah, they did it for the purpose of just making that they should be able to stick together closer. And the reason why this Gemara is every Gemara is important, but the reason why this Gemara is important is because this is what licorice, the machlokas by licorice, if you make a bari minei mizonos or if you make a shahakal, so I think it's widely accepted that you make a shahakal on licorice because the flour that they have in there is more is that it should stick together, not that it's not adding any flavoring or anything else. That's why you make a shahakal. But that comes from this Gemara over here that's talking about turnips, and they would have flour in the dish if you made a bari minei mizonos or a hadama. Rav Chizda, Tavshil Shel Trudin Yafal. So it's now talking about once we talked about beets. So now it's talking about a little bit some of the beneficial qualities that there are in eating beets. Rav Chizda, Tavshil Shel Trudin Yafal Alev. If you have a cooked beet, it's good for the heart. V'tov le'inayim, it's good for the eyes. V'chol shekain levnei mayim, it's good for the digestive system. Rabbi, v'hu diyasiv abe tfei v'abe toch toch. That when we say that the beets are good for you and all the qualities that it has, that's only talking about if you let it. It sat on the stove and it was bubbling and was making a sound like toch toch, which is I guess is the Gemara's way of imitating what boiling beets sound like, but it would make this bubbling sound. Once it's cooked at that point, then you're able to. That's when you're able to eat it. Amra Papa Pshitali Maya. Okay, so now this Gemara is going to talk about if you have vegetable soups. What bracha you make on vegetable soups? You make a hadam or do you make a shahakal on it? So Amra Papa Pshitali Maya desilka kisilka, that if you have a soup of, if you made beets and you cook them, then they're just like the beets and you make a hadam on it. Umaya delifta kalifta, and if you have turnips, then you cook the turnips, then you also make a hadam on that. Umaya de kulu shlaki kulu shlakin, and the same thing with all vegetables. If you cook them, you're going to you are going to make a hadam on it. Now this Gemara is a little bit in contradiction, not in contradiction, but the Gemara talked about if you had date honey, if you had the juices that come out from the dates, we said that you make a shahakal on it. So Mepharshim say, why is it that by vegetables we're saying that you make a bari pri adama, like if you take these vegetables and you cook them, then you make a bari pri adama, but when it comes to fruits, then you make a bari pri. So there's many different answers given for that. Some of them are, one answer that's given is because it really depends what the purpose is. A lot of time vegetables are grown for the purpose of using them in some sort of cooking process. So if you're cooking them, from the time that they're in the ground, the purpose is to take the vegetables. You're never intending to eat them as they are. You're really intending to cook them all along, so you're going to do that. When it comes to fruits, usually you don't have fruits like fruits are like apples. Apples are not made primarily. They're not made for cooking. Apples are made for eating. You get the juice out of them. In order to get the juice out of them, you really got to work the apple very hard. You have to really squeeze it in order to get the juice out. But I did hear, and there wasn't a good answer. I didn't hear. He didn't have a good answer. The person I was listening to the shir from, he said the question really comes up when you have these orange where you grow the oranges, they grow them specifically for to drink. So that question comes up, then why wouldn't you make a Bari Priya 8 on them? Because they're grown from the very time that they're grown, you should really be, you're really growing them just so you could drink them. You're not growing them for, like, a lot of times you're taking an apple or you're taking an orange and you're sucking out the juice, but you're eating the orange also. Here they take the oranges and they're doing them just to grow them so that they can be able to make orange juice from it. So it's a question why you wouldn't make a Bari Priya 8 on the juice. But anyway, so for the vegetable soups, if you have them, you cook vegetables in them, then the soup that you make from it, right, the water that was in there that now has the taste of the vegetables in it, you make a Bari Priya Adama. Bari Rapapa, Maya Deshifta Mai. What is the halacha when it comes to dill? If you cook a dill, what is halacha? Limtuke Taima Avdi. Do we say that the dill is there to, and I don't cook, so I don't know, but the dill apparently enhances the flavor. It does? Okay, it's used for flavoring. So do you say that you're using it to enhance the flavor? Or is it just coming to remove some of the byproducts of the food that you're cooking in? Is it just coming to remove the byproduct? And so if it's coming because it's enhancing the flavor, you'd make a Bari Priya Adama. But if it's just coming to remove some of the byproducts of the food that you're cooking it in, then it would just be a shahako. So Tashmar, we're going to try to bring a raya, we're trying to bring a proof. Hashabes, if you have a dill, Mishanas Natam B'Kdeira, once it's given over its flavor into a dish, Eimba Mishum Truma, then if this dill was Truma when you put it in, once it imparts its flavor, it no longer is considered Truma anymore, because the dill itself, after the flavor has departed it's worthless. It's not considered a food anymore. The halacha is that you have foods. Foods are able to make things tameh. You have something called tumas ochlim. So, but the dill, once it imparts its flavor into the dish, it can no longer do tumas ochlim. Shema minalam tuke taima avdilo. So you see from here that it's made to enhance the flavor and not just to remove the impurities of whatever dish it's being used for. Shema mina. So we do learn from there that again, because it imparts the flavor, you would make a Bari Priya Adama. And we will stop here tonight.
Going back to the